Hi everybody, this is for most of you on the chorale trip. Some students have expressed that they don't really understand chapter 25 very well. I don't blame you. So this is an attempt to sort of present it again, and something you can watch on the bus or if you're on the airplane or whatever, or walking around in New York. So enjoy. All right, so chapter 25, they do not use this term, but we will use the term. And really a lot of things that happen in chapter 25 come under the subject of what is known in other parts as parsimonious voice leading. And of course, parsimonious means cheap. And cheap means you're going to try to connect things as closely with as few voices as possible. Okay? So the very first example in the book has a passage where the first two chords are, that's on page 431. Okay, it's the beginning of something from Strauss. Okay? So basically what we have is we have an E minor chord that moves to an A flat chord. A flat in 6/4 inversion. And once again, we're just looking at really the top three voices. We're kind of not looking at what happens in the bass, because the bass is sort of a separate concern. It's more about the voice leading of the upper voices here when we're talking almost throughout this whole section on parsimonious voice leading. So the fact of the matter is that if we look at this and try to analyze it in terms of Roman numeral analysis, we might have some puzzling things to say about it, because these two chords don't really fit into one particular key. And they could fit in various ways. Of course, we have to know what goes on past this part to make a decision. But nonetheless, there is a smoothness to the voice leading, and that's the important thing that makes it so that such a connection between things can be made. All right? So if you look at this one, and to understand the total distance, which is the total distance between the notes that are sounded, okay, we would have the B going to the C, that's 1, the G going to the A flat, that's 2, and the E going to the E flat, that's 3. So to get from E minor to A flat, I only had to move 3 half steps, as you can see. Okay, so that's fairly smooth voice leading. Okay, and of course this relationship we've kind of talked about before. These two chords are related in the double chromatic median relationship. Okay, so it's part of the reason why in the Romantic and later Romantic period we have a lot of chord successions and also key successions from one section, larger section, to another larger section. The key change might also be things like this, okay? This chromatic median or double chromatic median relationship in this case. All right, so in this case also we could say that the roots are, they're basically a major third apart. If I go from E, I would go up a major third, okay? So E up a major third to G sharp, which is actually represented enharmonically as A flat in this particular instance. Okay, so that's a double chromatic, and it had a total distance of 3. And there are other, in the chromatic median relationship, we'll talk about that in a second, but again, just to see that this is how composers began to find ways to connect chords that weren't necessarily within the same key. Okay, so that's sort of a new type of chromaticism, and also a new type of, maybe a new type of way of thinking about voice leading. All right, so then the next part of the book, they begin to elaborate a little bit more on these median relationships, okay? So really there are 3 median relationships. There's the median, which is diatonic, right? It's in the same key, right? And there's the chromatic median, okay? And you've had this before. This is when we have 2 major chords which are a third apart. It could be a minor third, it could be a major third. They could be respelled, all these sorts of things. That's the chromatic median. And then we just talked about it, the double chromatic median. That's where the chords are a third apart and they're different qualities. The C major to A flat, or you know, E minor to G sharp, like that one, or A flat. And so we have basically these chords moving in these ways, and it turned out that this was something that was favored, or that composers like to do during this period. So as you can see, again, if we talk about it, we try to explain it in terms of total voice leading distance, we can see why this might be something that would be something they could expand upon. So, for example, in the median relationship, it's very easy to go from C to E minor, which is the 3 chord, right? We go from the C. We just have to move one note, really. Again, we're not looking at the bass. Down here, the bass is doing something, but we're looking at the upper voices. So we would just move one. The total distance would be one semitone, okay? C to B. And to do it to the other median relationship, which is A, right, it would actually be 2, because I go G to A, and then those other 2 notes would stay the same. All right, so that's the median relationship, okay? The chromatic median relationship also has pretty parsimonious voice leading, all right? And the reason being is this, that if I go from C major to A flat major, I really only need to go, the G can move here, the E can move there, the C would stay the same. Remember, chromatic medians had one common tone. See, so there's one common tone, and then the 2 other pitches would move a total distance of 2, right? 1, 2, right there. So the total distance for that one would be 3. Another chromatic median motion could be from C to A. So let's see, what would that one be? Well, I would have to move to C sharp here. That would be the closest way to move that one. The E, of course, could stay the same. And then I'd have to move up here 2 semitones, right? And so this would be a total distance of 3. Yeah? And so the same thing, you can have C to E major, which would be a different one, and C to E flat major. Okay, those would be all the chromatics from C. All right, so that's fine, very good. We already kind of experienced the double chromatic median relationship. That was the first one we did. And as you can see in this one, C to A flat minor, okay, I'd go G to A flat, E, 2, and then there. So I'd have a total, A flat minor, I'd have a total distance of 3. And so another one I could do would be C to E flat minor, okay? C to E flat minor. Of course, I'm going to have no common tones, right? It looks like the closest thing here would be to move to B flat. This would be 2 little semitones, right? E could go to E flat. That would be 1. And then the G would have to go to the G flat, and that would be 1 more. So the total distance here is 4, which is still a fairly small count. And so we can get these types of motions. Okay, so how does this apply to music a little bit? Well, one example would be to show how easy it is, and this is what they show on page 435, how easy it would be to move from C to E minor and then get to E major. So we would do a chromatic median here. And in that whole time, I only had to move this pitch, and then I had to move this pitch. Okay? So I might have something where I'm moving along. See? Something like that. And then if I wanted to make a sort of a chain, I could do something and move that one then to its, you know, kind of keep that process going up to another, you know, I might go to E minor here, right? And then move 1 more pitch. Right? So what I did, first I moved this pitch went down, right? Then this pitch went up. So I could continue that process, okay? I could move this one down and then, go back to the C, move that one back up. So I could create little things like that, or I could create sequences and different ways of kind of leading myself smoothly to different situations. Okay, then the same thing applies as they go to page 436. They show us that this smooth, parsimonious voice leading can also very well happen with seventh chords. Okay, and the example that they give a chain of seventh chords that are related by a minor third. And so again, ignoring the bass, but we'll put the bass in here. The bass would go to C to E flat. And now I want to go up here in my upper voices from C7 to E flat 7. Okay? Well, really all I have to do is I have to take the, I'd have to grab a D flat somewhere, right? So I grab a D flat there, I make this E flat, and look, these two pitches would stay the same. So I'd have a total distance of 2 to get from this seventh chord to this seventh chord, which is a third apart. Okay, so that's a very smooth transition, right? If I have this, okay, then I just have to go, right? And as you can see, it would be very easy to keep moving to other things, right? To other, to G flat, for example. And then I could move easily to A. So I've gone up, I've started up a cycle of seventh chords up a minor third each time. All right, so that's the first part of that chapter. I'll try to send another demonstration of this. Please, if you can, go to the tonal theory supplemental examples and look to the last section on various chromatic techniques. And you will find symmetrical chord progression as part of it, and you will be able to listen to some examples and look at the score. Okay? Thank you.